China's economy continues to decline severely, and the unemployment rate remains high. In first-tier cities such as Guangzhou and Shenzhen, the scene is desolate, gloomy, and sad, no longer showing the vitality of some of China's most magnificent cities. A large number of young people who are unemployed or without regular jobs are forced to sleep under bridges and struggle to survive because they have no money to pay rent. Videos show that a large number of unemployed young people are living under bridge tunnels in Guangdong. They have no fixed jobs and no money to pay rent. Sometimes they also live stream, dreaming that one day they can live a prosperous life, but most of the time, they can only survive by picking up rags. Under the square of Longhua bus station in Shenzhen, a large number of unemployed young people gather there every day and sleep in the open air. If outsiders come to take pictures, they are driven away or even beaten. In a park in Guangdong, several unemployed young people live in the park and sleep on park benches. However, several police officers drove them away and refused to allow them to live there. The young people's clothes are still hanging on the trees in the park. In Huizhou, Guangdong, a 20-year-old man who couldn't find a job spent the night sitting on an overpass. Some kind-hearted passers-by offered him a room to sleep in, but he refused. A netizen photographed a group of delivery boys sleeping on the streets at 6 o'clock in the morning under a bridge in Guangzhou. Some of them were sleeping on the ground, and some were setting up tents. It made people lament their hard life in big cities. One netizen said that she and her husband have been working in Shenzhen for 24 years. They got married and had children there. Recently, they both lost their jobs. Many relatives and friends persuaded them to go back to their hometown. She said in a video, "We don't even have a place to stay when we go back now, because the house in our hometown has been uninhabited for many years, and there is no room for us to live there. You want to farm, but there is no land to farm. You want to do business, but there is no capital." Another netizen said that she has been working in Shenzhen for nearly 10 years, but still has nothing. No car, no house. She said in a video, "I have been unemployed for 6 months. I will be 30 years old next month. Now I have no savings, no car, and no house. I came to Shenzhen in 2014. I was young and found a relatively easy clerical job, and then I worked until October last year. During this period, I changed companies, but I was always doing clerical work until I lost my job last year and couldn't find another one. It has been 6 months since October 9th last year, so for a girl like me who has no education and no skills, where is the way out?" In Dongguan, Guangdong, where China's processing industry is well developed, due to a serious lack of orders and insufficient working hours, many companies no longer recruit formal employees, but instead use temporary workers so that they do not have to pay 5 insurances and 1 fund for employees. The salary is even as low as 9 yuan per hour, while the minimum wage stipulated by Guangdong, Zhejiang, Jiangsu, and other provinces is 22 yuan per hour. A video circulating online shows a group of young people from Guizhou queuing up for a job in Dongguan. An agent shouted to the people in line, 9 yuan an hour, and the onlookers looked at him sideways. 9 yuan? 9 yuan an hour. If you can't accept it, take your luggage and leave. Jingjing, 29, has been unemployed for 6 months. She posted a video on Douyin saying that she felt like her life was over. She said in the video, "My life seems to be over. I have been unemployed for 6 months, and I seem to have lost myself. My body is becoming weaker and weaker. I just want to lie in bed and play with my phone or games every day. I have no interest in anything, and I am becoming less and less willing to go out. I don't know when the girl who loved to laugh and dress up disappeared. Now there is no light in my eyes. I haven't opened the cosmetics on this table for a long time. I don't know when I last put on makeup. The closet is full of beautiful clothes, but I don't seem to have the opportunity to wear them out. I am becoming more and more confused, anxious, and panicked. I don't know where my life should go." Last year, a college graduate in Hunan posted a video crying because she couldn't find a job after interviewing at more than 50 companies. She also mentioned that although her best friend found a job in Beijing, she was not working, but playing with her life. She said in the video, I have interviewed at more than 50 companies since graduation. Some companies don't even pay any salary during the internship period, and you can't even be converted to a regular employee. My college best friend joined a famous film and television company in Beijing with a salary of 7,500 yuan. You may think that for a freshly graduated student, it is enough. But she rented a small house in Beijing that was only a dozen square meters, and the rent was more than 2,000 yuan. Dongguan is in decline. Shops are closing down in rows, and internal competition is serious. Dongguan is an important prefecture-level city in Guangdong Province and plays a key role in the economy of both Guangdong and China. However, as China's economy continues to weaken, internal competition in Dongguan has become so intense that technicians lament how difficult it is to make money. Chang'an Town in Dongguan, once filled with factories, now sees rows of shops closing down, and merchants are struggling. Inside and outside the industrial park in Gaobu Town, Dongguan, people are rarely seen. Chongqing technicians, Guangdong is too competitive, and they can't stay in Dongguan for a week. Dongguan is a world-renowned manufacturing center, especially famous for industries like electronics, footwear, and furniture. It was once called the world's factory, attracting significant foreign and domestic investment. But how is Dongguan today? Blogger Xiaoxin from Chongqing said on October 23rd that he and his wife came to Dongguan a week ago, but within that week, he realized they couldn't stay in Guangdong anymore. They packed their luggage that day and returned to Chongqing at night. He said, "The biggest feeling I had when I came to Guangdong this time was that it was too hard to make money. I visited Dongguan and found it was extremely difficult and competitive. I found that not only were we facing technical competition, but many processing companies were not making any profit, and other industries were also fiercely competitive. This morning, 23rd, when I went out for breakfast, I saw a roadside barber shop charging only 10 yuan, RMB, for a haircut. The owner had to pay rent and labor. How could they make any money?" He sighed. "After all the twists and turns, I was the one who suffered the most, and nobody made any money." Businesses in important towns in Dongguan have been ruined. Guangdong Dongguan blogger Juewei filmed a video in Chang'an Town, one of the most important towns in Dongguan, to document its current decline. He said the shops in Chang'an Town were once very popular and in high demand. There were factories everywhere, at least hundreds, and rental housing nearby. Chang'an Town's GDP used to rank first in Dongguan City, and its geographical location was relatively advantageous. However, now look at the shops in Chang'an Town. Rows and rows of shops have closed down. Almost all the clothing shops have shut their doors. There used to be a big stage in the town that was lively every night, with people dancing. Now it's so desolate, it's become a parking lot. It's so hard to do business now. There used to be a row of milk tea shops in the town, and every weekend there was a large flow of people. Over the past 2 years, businesses have been ruined. The shops are all closed, and no one cares. Dongguan is really in a pitiful state. Juewei said that only a few shops are still open, and it's estimated that the rent, water, and electricity bills aren't even covered for a day. They're definitely losing money every day. He visited a street in Chang'an Town, capturing many people with his camera. He said, "They're all unemployed, just sitting and playing with their mobile phones. The shops on the street are deserted, and no one is going in to shop. It's really miserable." All fast food restaurants in Dongguan can't hold on. The blogger Sanpao Life Record, who works in Dongguan, recently said that all fast food restaurants in Dongguan have closed down. He said, "We workers don't go to fast food restaurants anymore. Fast food restaurants are basically all closed down. Some shut down after just 3 or 4 months. The current situation shows that no one goes to fast food restaurants at all. The main reason is that the food is unhygienic and our health is important. So fast food restaurants are basically struggling to survive. All fast food restaurants in Dongguan have closed down. Workers. There are basically no people in the industrial park. Dongguan blogger Lao Chen said that he worked as a temporary worker in a factory in Gaobu town, Dongguan, for a period of time last year. This year, there are fewer workers in the factory, and there are basically no people. Both inside and outside the industrial park in Gaobu town, it's deserted. He said that last year, many people were still going to and from work in the industrial park, and there were also many eating supper. There used to be densely packed stalls outside the industrial park. Now, only 2 or 3 people set up stalls, and there is no business. Everywhere is empty, and the streets outside the industrial park are dark, with no one to be seen.
Dongguan, China, known as the world's factory, has seen an increasingly depressed economy, with many factories and shops closing down. One boss pessimistically said that the factory is like a patient with leukemia or cancer, and as a boss, he can only endure the hardship. Mr. Wang, who runs a supermarket in Dongguan, told NTD that business is very bad now, with losses every day. The store's operating income is 70% less than in 2007 and 2008, and many shops on the street have closed down. Mr. Wang said, "Now people have no money. Where can they spend money? They just have to endure. They can't afford to starve to death. There must be a lot of closures." The store opposite me and across the street has been open for more than 10 years, and it has also closed down. Mr. Wang said that life is very difficult now. Many factories in Dongguan can't receive as many orders, and they have closed down or reduced their scale, replacing large factories with small ones. Mr. Wang said, "Now many bosses, small bosses, some of them have opened a shop with dozens of employees, are struggling. Just like leukemia and cancer, they are struggling. I tell you, many factories and many bosses can't even pay for goods. It's over. It's over. I'm very pessimistic now." Mr. Wang said that Dongguan is very famous in the country and is the world's factory. If Dongguan is not doing well, think about it. Is there any better place in the country than it? Dongguan's economy is depressed, bosses are losing money, and workers are not having a good time. Mr. Gao from Hunan works in a mobile phone factory in Dongguan. He told reporters that it was difficult for factories to recruit people before, but now they generally don't recruit. Students who have just graduated from school and have no work experience are generally not wanted. Mr. Gao from Hunan said, "We have experienced people here, and we have old employees here. Generally, we don't recruit many people now." Mr. Gao said that many people who come to Dongguan can't find jobs, so they sleep in the square, and sometimes they are driven away by urban management personnel. Mr. Gao from Hunan said, "Whether you can find a job here or not, you will come out. You come out and do some odd jobs. Otherwise, you can't make money at home. If you grow some farmland at home, you can't make any money at all." Most of the 8 million people living in the city come from different provinces. Like many others, Ms. Yu, a factory worker, came here to start a career, but now she is thinking about returning to her hometown in Chongqing after 20 years away. This is the worst time ever. She has seen factory profits triple. The 2008 financial crisis only had a mild impact. But with the current severe economic recession, the factory has been seriously damaged. Ms. Yu works for a factory that processes clothes for Western brands. A year ago, the housing area for workers had more than 2,000 people. But now there are only about 100 left because the factory moved most of its production to other, cheaper countries in Southeast Asia. Ms. Yu did not want to reveal her identity to avoid causing trouble with local authorities. She said city officials told them to stay calm and keep quiet. The factory also added security forces to monitor them and prevent any unrest. The boss ran away after burning through 6.2 billion yuan. The company was dissolved on the spot, leaving 800 people unemployed. Recently, the wave of business collapses and bankruptcies in China is increasing rapidly. The fact that companies and businesses declare dissolution in just one day has become common and is no longer strange in the context of a serious economic downturn in mainland China. Shanghai Jimu Galaxy Digital Technology Company is an example. The employees were still working in the morning, and the company announced its dissolution on the spot in the afternoon. Still at work in the morning, but the boss ran away in the afternoon? Recently, many employees broke the news on social platforms that Shanghai Jimu Galaxy Digital Technology Company, Ltd., hereinafter referred to as Jimu Technology, burned through 6.2 billion yuan in a year, suddenly disbanded. The boss fled, leaving more than 800 employees owed salaries. The boss of the company is also the founder of the online lending platform China Capital Union and has won awards such as Top 10 Honest Figures in the Internet Financial Industry and China Economic Figure. According to mainland media reports, a police receipt has been rapidly spread on social media recently. The report is to find Chen Kun, the boss of Shanghai Jimu Future Park. Subsequently, many internal employees of the company said on the 29th that they received a notice of boss ran away, company bankruptcy, on May 27. The company owed employees several months of wages. Currently, more than 800 employees are in collective labor arbitration to protect their rights. Public information shows that Jimu Technology was established in February 2023 and is headquartered in Shanghai. It has more than 10 subsidiaries and holding companies and has established branches or offices in more than 40 cities around the world, with more than 1,000 employees. As a well-known company with entrepreneurship incubation as its business model, Jimu Technology completed investment layouts in 12 different industries, including metaverse, AGIC, cloud computing, and pets in 2023. But what was unexpected was that such an influential company in China suddenly disbanded recently, and the boss ran away. When the company employees called the police to find the boss at the villa, there was only an A4 printing paper and a hard drive with the words, "The boss could not repay the investors a total of 6.2 billion yuan and could only choose to escape in the end." According to the online alarm receipt, the alarm time was May 27, and the alarm content showed that Chen Kun, the boss of Jimu Future Park, lost contact on May 24 and his whereabouts were unknown. An employee revealed that the incident can be traced back to May 27. After a meeting that afternoon, several department heads told their employees that the group's investors had run away, and now the group has no money and cannot pay wages, so they don't need to come to work tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. The employee also broke the news that the company has been in arrears of wages. According to the previous agreement, the company should pay the previous month's salary on the 10th of each month, but Jimu Technology has been overdue for salary payment this year and would only pay the salary at the end of each month. Since May 10 this year, payable April salary, the company has not paid salaries, and it is currently estimated that it will owe salaries for 2 months, April and May. The employee also said that Jimu Technology's departments in Shanghai are mainly engaged in technology, pets, and wealth sectors. At present, most employees are preparing to go to labor arbitration to seek justice. The boss who is rumored to have run away this time is the company's founder, Chen Kun. It is currently reported that he was arrested or fled the country, but the exact news has yet to be confirmed.
Juewei Food, a Chinese chain food company, released a report showing that the company's shrinking store scale has had a lasting impact on its revenue. In the first half of this year, Juewei Food's stores decreased by 981, and most of its revenue from the braised food industry came from offline stores. Additionally, the company's multiple overseas investment projects also suffered huge losses. According to reports from Jimian News and Red Star News, on the evening of October 24th, Juewei Food released its 2024 third quarter report. In the third quarter of this year, the company's main business revenue was 1.675 billion yuan, RMB, the same below, a year-on-year decrease of 13.29%. The net profit attributable to the parent company was 143 million yuan, a year-on-year decrease of 3.33%. Juewei Food's shrinking store scale has had a lasting impact on its revenue. Most of the revenue in the braised food industry comes from offline stores, but in the first half of this year, Juewei Foods' revenue was 3.34 billion yuan, a year-on-year decrease of 9.73%, and the number of stores decreased by 981. Data from Frost & Sullivan and the Red Food Industry Research Institute show that the growth rate of the marinated products industry has slowed down significantly. In the first half of 2024, although the price of raw materials has dropped year-on-year, the industry as a whole faces severe operating pressure, and leading companies are also facing survival challenges. On the evening of October 21st, Juewei Foods issued the reply announcement on the Shanghai Stock Exchange's Information Disclosure Supervision Work Letter. Due to long-term investment losses, Juewei Foods was once again required by the Shanghai Stock Exchange to disclose investment-related data. Since 2017, Juewei Foods has invested in joint ventures with Tomato Capital, New Hope, and others through its wholly owned subsidiary Shenzhen Wangju, focusing on marinated food, condiments, supply chain, and other related industries. However, most of the company's overseas investments have become a drag. From 2022 to the first half of 2024, the company's cash payments for investment were 880 million yuan, 2.422 billion yuan, and 1.063 billion yuan respectively. And the investment income was negative 94.2185 million yuan, negative 116 million yuan, and negative 3.252 million yuan respectively, with a total loss of 213 million yuan. In foreign investment, Juewei Foods' investment targets are mainly in four categories: stewed food, light catering, condiments, and upstream and downstream of the industrial chain. However, Juewei Foods' investment expectations for stewed food have not been met. In 2023, the five targets of Juewei Foods' equity investment had a total loss of 105 million yuan. In the first half of 2024, Juewei invested in Jiangsu Mengguan and Changsha Naiyun, and the brands associated with the two companies also suffered huge losses. No more money. A county-level city in Hunan announced it had laid off 300 government contract workers. The financial difficulties of the Communist Party at all levels are expanding, and reports of dismissing non-staff personnel have surfaced in many places. Among them, Shaodong City in Hunan Province claimed to have dismissed more than 300 people, saving over 20 million yuan, which has sparked doubts. On October 26th, according to the paper, Hunan provincial authorities claimed that to save fiscal expenditures, strictly control establishment management, live a tight life, vigorously reduce the scale of non-staff employment, and dismiss non-staff personnel, Shaodong City has dismissed more than 300 non-staff workers, saving over 20 million yuan in fiscal funds. According to the report, the county-level city has transferred the responsibilities of the Rural Revitalization Bureau to the Agricultural and Rural Bureau, abolished 3 departments: Natural Resources, Labor and Social Security, and Water Administration, and established 2 new departments: the Municipal Party Committee Social Work Department and the Municipal Data Bureau. The number of deliberative and coordinating agencies has been reduced from 172 to 20, a streamlining of 88.4%. In recent years, the finances of various regions of the Communist Party of China have fallen into difficulty, and localities have tried various methods to ease their burdens. Many places have released data on the withdrawal of non-staff personnel. In September this year, Ningyuan County, Yongzhou City, Hunan Province, reported that 637 non-staff personnel were cleared and withdrawn, saving 14.6 million yuan in fiscal funds. In September 2023, Linli County, Chengde City, Hunan Province, said it promoted the management of non-staff employment, and a total of 163 non-staff workers were withdrawn, saving 2 million yuan in fiscal funds. In April 2023, Xi'an City, Hubei Province, reported that the municipal non-staff employment units involved 67 competent departments, 177 units, and 3,400 non-staff employees. Through cleanup efforts, 326 positions were reduced compared to the same period last year, saving about 15 million yuan in fiscal costs. Additionally, some local authorities turned former public institutions into enterprises. For example, in August, Shandong Province issued a directive to transform public institutions into enterprises, requiring public institutions to formally terminate personnel relations with established staff. In response, netizens commented, "In Shaodong, Hunan, an obscure place, the official agency dismissed more than 300 people, saving over 20 million yuan a year. The whole country should do the same and save hundreds of billions of funds. There really isn't enough money to pay wages, so non-staff personnel are being dismissed to reduce financial pressure. This should be done nationwide. 300 people, 20 million, a year? I always wonder why there are so many non-staff personnel. Is the staffing number unreasonable, or are the staff members below not doing their work?" Some netizens criticized, "It's the useless personnel who should be dismissed, not non-staff personnel. The payroll staff should be dismissed, while the non-staff should be retained. The payroll staff are just idling around and can't do anything." It's not a non-staff issue. It's the people who work less or don't work who are occupying positions and taking the money. The real workers deserve the money. Why don't you investigate these issues on the payroll? Why don't you cut the civil servants at the top to reduce the burden and improve efficiency? Who will take responsibility for the past waste? Staffing is a unique privilege phenomenon under the CCP's totalitarian system. CCP officials and civil servants at all levels enjoy privileges according to their ranks, including the so-called public institutions staff who are on the payroll. CCP departments at all levels recruit some people from society to assist with work, but they do not enjoy the privileges of system staff and are called non-staff staff. As the CCP's finances at all levels are in trouble, the first individuals to be dismissed are these non-staff staff. Shanghai is in crisis. 1,056,000 restaurants closed in the worst first half of the year.
If you've ever been to China, you might remember that restaurants are everywhere. But that is no longer the case today. According to data from Tianyancha, a Chinese business and commercial information query platform, 1.056 million Chinese catering-related companies closed in the first half of this year. The large-scale closure of restaurants began in 2023, with 1.359 million closures that year. From January to June 2024, in just 6 months, this data is close to last year's total. Let's first take a look at the videos uploaded by several bloggers on social media, showing the current situation of restaurant closures in cities such as Shanghai and Kunming. Now, opening a store is like giving away money. This is the center of downtown Shanghai, 1 Weihai Road. Come and feel the current business environment. I ran from the first floor to the third floor, and there were more than 2 stores on each floor that had closed down. At this time last year, this place was still fully rented. It's only been less than a year. What do you think? In the first half of this year, 1.056 million restaurants closed down, which is close to the total number of last year. The situation is not optimistic. This is a catering street in the county town. It used to be very crowded. Let's take a look at the shops here. Lease, rent, transfer, landlord direct lease, Shandong barbecue transfer, vegetable supermarket transfer, and lease. This place is also selling electric cars. The vacant room at the corner of the intersection is rented at a low price. It is very difficult to do the catering business in Linshui this year. I have run a porridge shop at the location of Turtle Monument in Linshui for 7 years, and I have never seen such a fierce wave of closures this year. To be honest, the Rujiamo restaurant opposite, his Rujiamo is delicious. We often buy it to eat, but it finally closed down, and I don't know why. The braised pork rice in the Cantonese restaurant is selling well, and we also like it, but it finally closed down. What do you think is going on? Look at the Maokai restaurant that is also closed down. The photo studio is no longer in business, and there is also this store. The stores over there have all closed down. When can these stores be rented out? Another Chinese blogger named Stall King posted a video on July 17, introducing the current situation of the largest new city center in Kunming, Yan'an province. He said that the vacancy rate of closed stores in the entire shopping mall has reached 85%. July, August, and September are the peak seasons for catering, but can this year's peak season be prosperous? If you are in the catering business, you will succeed in one fell swoop if you don't lose money this year. If you can still make a little profit, congratulations, you have already beaten 50% of your peers. Just halfway through this year, 1.05 million restaurants have closed down, close to the total of last year. Many new and inexperienced restaurants closed down in 2 or 3 months, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars at lightning speed. Among them, hot pot restaurants are the hardest hit. In the first half of the year, 22,000 stores were registered, of which 26,000 closed down, and more than 4,000 stores lost money. Behind me is the largest business district in Kunming, known as the new center of the city, with an annual passenger flow of about 13 million. Let's take a look at such a large business district. For physical merchants, how is the current situation? Let's take a look together. They're closed down, barbecue, hot pot. This whole large area is about 300 square meters. They used to be connected together, but now they are all closed down. This row of them are all closed down, Chaoshan beef, and this one are closed down. The closure rate of the entire mall has reached 85%. There is almost no business. Many friends said that if it is not Saturday, there will definitely be no people. Even if there is less traffic on Wednesday and Thursday, it will not affect its closure. You may say that there is not much traffic on weekdays, but it is now in a state of closure. In such a mall, only big brands such as Heidelao may survive. The economy is in serious recession in the mainland. This situation may become more serious this year, in the second half of 2024, and in 2025. There are many cases where restaurants invested millions of RMB but closed down within 3 months. The following video shows the boss talking about his feelings after the failure of his restaurant. He said that he would never do catering again. This is a barbecue restaurant where I invested 1 million RMB, which is $138,000 US. Unfortunately, it closed down in less than 3 months. Many people advised me not to open this skewers restaurant, but I chose to open it without hesitation. I only saw others making a lot of money and never thought that it would fail. At that time, the rent for this restaurant cost nearly 200,000 RMB, which is $28,000 US. The decoration and equipment cost hundreds of thousands of RMB. I dreamed every day that it would be enough to make tens of thousands of RMB a month, not to mention more. Unexpectedly, after opening, the income was not enough to cover the daily rent. The highest daily turnover was 2,000 RMB, which is less than $275 US. I hired more than a dozen employees and waited 3 months to resell it, but no one was willing to take it over for a long time. Today, it finally ended. Looking at all this, I told myself that I would never do catering again. Why did a large number of restaurants close down? Ms. Liu, a resident of Shandong, said in an interview with Radio Free Asia not long ago that because residents could not find jobs and lost their source of income, they lived frugally. All walks of life are in recession. The prospects are not particularly good now. Ordinary people dare not spend money in order to cope with the situation that they have no choice. Therefore, the consumption pattern of ordinary people has changed. They cannot see hope or the future, but they have to maintain normal expenses. When spending money, they must first make comparisons and secondly, make budgets, such as for children's education, living expenses, and medical costs for themselves or the elderly. The depression of the catering industry is the most direct manifestation of the reduction in income of Chinese residents. Whether ordinary people go to restaurants for meals can be seen at a glance. In order to survive in this difficult environment, the Chinese catering industry has launched poor man's combo. For example, the well-known Chinese fast food brand Nanjing Xiang launched a 3 yuan, or 40 cents buffet breakfast. claiming that for only 3 won, you can drink unlimited porridge, milk, soy milk, and other breakfast drinks. There are also restaurants that offer a 2-dish and 1 rice set meal for 14.9 yuan, or about $2. Tea chain stores also offer a $1.35 bread and milk tea combination. A hot pot restaurant owner, Sister Shai, introduced in a video that her hot pot restaurant's turnover fell 50%. Sister Shai found that both old and new customers rarely patronize the store. The turnover was sometimes less than 10,000 RMB, and at 7 o'clock in the evening, the seats outside were still empty. Today's order was only 4 tables, and the business of the whole street was also bleak, with almost no customers in the neighboring shops.